Mark Meadows would probably still be a happy little congressman if he hadn't decided to work for Donald Trump. Jenna Ellis could still be a crappy traffic court attorney who never got COVID via Rudy Giuliani fart if she hadn't decided to work for Donald Trump. Walt Nauta could still be a Navy cook. Jeffrey Clark could still sleep in his underwear. And Sidney Powell could be doing whatever it is that she did for fun, hunting puppies or scaring children. But they decided to work for Donald Trump. They decided to commit crimes for Donald Trump. And in so doing, they have destroyed their lives. All in the service of a madman who has never cared about them and never will, as is so often the case with Donald Trump. Look, what we saw with the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, sentenced to 22 years in prison. Joe Biggs, who's very upset about not being able to take his daughter to school, the leader of the Florida branch of the Proud Boys, 17 years in prison. 3 more of the Proud Boys with 10, 15, and 18 years, respectively. All of that because they tried to violently prevent the peaceful transfer of presidential power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. They attacked our Capitol in Donald Trump's name, and they are now paying the price. Rick Wilson said that everything that Trump touches dies, and it's true. But it's so strange to me that they all think they'll be special. They all think that he actually cares about them. They think that when they fall down for him, that he'll pick them up. But he never does. And to be clear here, this is not an excuse for any of them. They made their terrible choices for him. But they made those choices. And they deserve to feel the full weight of the consequences associated with those choices. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. He will let them all fall down over and over and over again. And he'll walk away every single time. It's what he does. It's what he's always done. It's who he is. And the sooner folks start to finally realize that, the better off all of us will be. So today's conversation is with George Hahn, someone who saved what was left of my sanity during the early days of COVID. His videos were brilliant. His rants on the street of New York were just funny and cathartic and just amazing. And his Twitter bio describes him as a satirist, a writer, occasional TV interviewer, and urban raconteur. And frankly, that doesn't even come close to covering George Hahn. As anyone who's ever talked to him soon realizes, he's a million trillion things all at once. All of them brilliant and provocative and funny and thoughtful and introspective. I loved talking to him. His perspective is unique in all the world. And I know you're really going to enjoy this conversation. Welcome to the Are You Effing Kidding Me podcast. It's me, Jojo from Jerz, and with me this week is George Hahn. Welcome, George.
I just think it's the greatest podcast name ever. Are you effing kidding me? I mean, I like the real name better, but I know you gotta, this is a family show. So
yeah, you gotta keep it clean. It was like, they were like, what do you think about Jojo Fresh? And I'm like, no, I need to swear. And they're like, you can't swear, but
who wanted to call it Jojo Fresh?
The nice people who helped me produce my podcast. There was an option on the table, and I was like, because there's like the whole Jersey Fresh thing, and I'm like,
Are you a rapper?
Yeah. Yeah, my rapper name would be Jersey Fresh. I was like, I need to swear. And it's also like, I don't want to jump into that yet, but like, your rants are kind of like in that tone too, which is like we have to sort of be there a little bit right now with all of the shit that's going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to jump right into this first before we get there. We have to talk about Donald Trump's mugshot. Okay.
Gorgeous.
Because you did a video about his mugshot, and I just need to hear your take on all of that craziness.
I, gosh, where do you want me to begin? I cannot stand. Can I swear on this show?
I do.
Oh, good. I can't fucking stand that pig. And I did a rant this morning actually on Instagram. I do a daily walk on Instagram. It's become a thing and it's a habit and then whatever. But this morning was one of those days where I hit a pressure wall and occasionally I just have to bust out and let it fly because I was listening to a podcast that I really like and it was Trump, 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 Trump. And it just went, I am so fucking sick of this guy who has infected our lives. Um, the mugshot, to keep it to your topic, clearly he rehearsed that look in the mirror a million times. Clearly he took some selfies or someone helped him take some, but that is a very well rehearsed look.
Yeah.
That's not something that just kind of like captured the mood of the moment. Even though he doesn't look happy, he never will look happy. Even when he smiles, he looks unhappy. He is, here's the thing, or here's a thing, not the thing. Here is a thing. Donald Trump is not wired for happiness or contentment. He is terminally unhappy. He is terminally unsatisfied. Um, you can see it in the way he carries himself. It's in his posture. It's in his movement. It's in that face, that potty. A lot of people have a potty mouth. I have a potty mouth. He has a pouty mouth. Like, it's always whining. That lip is a little pursed. Like, I didn't get what I want. Like, that's the look on his face. Little bitch. And that sort of like, given that cold stare under your eyebrows, kind of very. It's so tired. Ugh. There is nothing, and and yet, Joe, he manages to spin this into an asset. And his sick crowd eats it up like it's a good thing. Like this is somehow a plus. And I'm sitting here, we're all sitting here, anybody of reason is going, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? That's why I hit this wall once in a while where I think we have a guy, the front runner of the Republican Party, a former president, indicted 4 times. How many charges total is he facing? 90 something?
91.
91.
Yep.
And this works for people? Holy shit.
And
So the mugshot, he looks as ugly as ever. He's
yeah.
so fucking ugly. Strawberry blonde. Really? If by strawberry you mean piss yellow, then sure, strawberry. And
215 pounds.
is he? I've been in the same room with him. It was years ago. I've been in his presence. He's not short. He is a tall guy. I'm five. I'm like 5'9.5". He was taller than me. 6'3". I don't know about that. But not 215. That fucker's obese. And I've said it a million times. He's got the muscle tone of a wet Nerf ball. Ugh, ugh. God, God help anybody who ever had to lie down with that. Ugh.
I can't go there. The
Ugh.
picture in the picture. I was asked ahead of that picture what I thought he was going to pull off or try to pull off, and that was the one I went with because yes, he sort of like you said he was practicing. He was practicing that
Sure.
shit like all freaking night. But it's like the way I describe it is a doddering old man cosplaying Blue Steel at like the senior home talent show. Like that's the vibe I got, and I don't want
Yeah.
to spend too much time on this because we're not actually going to talk about Trump a whole lot in this conversation because I too I'm really sick of it because it feels like we're stuck on the outtakes of The Fucking Apprentice, and I don't want to be there anymore. I want him to go away, but we still have to deal with it because it is this freaking reality. And the
He
fact
is
that
in the
they're
oxygen. You can't not talk about it because there'd be denial. But yeah.
right. And he's making millions and millions of dollars off that
Hmm.
freaking mugshot. It was taken in a notoriously unglamorous county jail. And it's like, they're like, yeah, here it is. Legend, Lara Trump, badass. We did it. Yeah, let's own those libs. I mean, it's the fact that we have to talk about it at all is pissing me off, but it is absolute insanity. And we do have to talk about it just because it's worth also a laugh. But like, holy shit, what are we talking about here? They're raising money. They're using it as a rallying cry, a campaign ad. Like, what the hell is
These
happening?
are not thinking people. This is a guy whose first tweet back was never surrender and a picture of him literally surrendering. Fucking dumbass.
He made surrendering great again.
We showed you. We're never going to surrender. Your boy is literally surrendering, you asshole. God. I have no patience. I have no desire to try to understand. Like, no, I don't. I draw a hard line. Like, these are assholes.
Yeah,
I can't.
I was just talking to Bob Seska, and he's like, do you go back at the trolls? Like, do you get in there in the debates with, the mag idiots and stuff? And I was like, but why? Why
Yeah.
would I do that? What's the point?
Why?
It's like you're trying to staple jello. You're never going to get them. They don't care for facts, logic, reason, all that. They have no use for that shit. Like, it's as useful to them as a thesaurus. They don't
If
care.
any,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
No.
So I don't bother. But yeah. Well, now that we've gotten Trump's mugshot out of the way, I actually do want to pivot to some more serious kind of conversation about,
Great.
yeah, because like what they're actually doing, the Republican Party, as in they, which is really beholden to MAGA altogether now, is really dangerous on a lot of levels. But the first thing I want to talk about, because you had posted this on Threads, and I guess you're largely on Threads mostly now,
Hmm.
as opposed to Twitter.
Much to my chagrin, yeah. Let's just get that out of the way for a hot second.
Yeah.
I have no, I'm not deleting Twitter or X, whatever we're supposed to call it. I've just kind of I've stepped aside because I really, this is maybe a subject for another day, but yeah, I'm not a fan of Elon, and I am not going to give that guy free content and provide content that is going to give his website um, interact. What's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Engagement.
engagement. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I miss my audience there, but I'm largely on Threads to answer your question.
Yeah, which
Um,
is, I hear you on why
mhm.
he's just immensely dislikable. I mean, to make Mark Zuckerberg somehow look favorable by comparison is quite the Herculean task, and
Mhm.
he's managed to do that somehow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sad commentary.
Um, so I posted something on Threads.
Yeah. So, the reality of, one of the things that the Republican Party is forcing upon us. You posted a photograph of the or tweet by or post whatever wherever they first put it, and it was the UNC Chapel Hill student
Mm,
newspaper, and it was the front page from yesterday, and it was a text sent and received by students during the lockdown there the other day where a teacher was murdered, and it's chilling. It's just their words about being scared, their words back from people who love them. It's very stark and chilling, and I'm a mom, so it's like my worst possible nightmare to have to go through that. And you added your own personal commentary that this is Republicans have mandated that we live like this. And I
mhm.
wanted to talk about that a little bit in terms
Sure.
of this, and then we'll get to some more things that they're sort of trying to mandate we have to accept, we have to live with. And gun violence is one of those.
Yeah. I have never been in a shooting. I hope I never will be involved in one or a victim of one, but I have dreams about them, like that I'm in one and I got to do something. I have like I have that nightmare. I've had it before, and none of us should have it, and I've never been involved in one. Um, and every with every shooting, it is another. The Republicans did this, plain and simple. I am so sick of people holding on to guns like it's a God given right, like God's got anything to do with it. If you're going to put God in the sentence with one's right to carry a gun, you got it wrong. There's no debate. There's no, well, if we look at, no, God does not belong anywhere near this conversation. This is all man-made. And it's all, the situation we're in is all Republican made. Um, the fact that we don't have, I'm going to say gun control, gun regulation, gun sense, whatever euphemism you want to soften it with. I don't give a shit. The fact that we don't have gun control is stupid. The UK does this right. Australia does this right. We do it wrong. It is insane that after Sandy Hook, and we're going back, what was that, 11 years ago?
Yep.
That nothing was done. Are you out of your fucking minds? Background checks. Okay, great. Not enough in my book. The fact that it is easier for me, it's easier to get a gun than it is to get a driver's license is stupid. The fact that it's easier to get a gun than for me to get a storage space at Manhattan Mini Storage is stupid. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way. Well, not in New York State. It's different. But in some states, let's just say, it is easier for me to get a gun than to get a large space at Manhattan Mini Storage. The application process is more rigorous. That's stupid. And guns are a product that are in a completely unique category. You cannot compare them to cars, so you can't match legislation with car legislation. Cars are ostensibly a productive, constructive tool or product designed to get you and me from A to B. Guns are a destructive product. They are the only product on the consumer market that are designed, the only products that are designed to kill. No other product available to you or me for purchase is designed to do that. They're in a category all by themselves. You cannot compare them to cars. You can't compare them to knives, nothing. And so they need to be treated as such. And Republicans have bent over so far with no need of lube to the NRA. These like unscrupulous whores is what they are. All of them who get anybody who gets an A rating from the NRA shouldn't be in office.
Right. And
should I go on? Because I could go on all day about these bitches. I'm so tired of them.
I mean, to your point, we saw exactly what you just said about it being easier to get a gun than, a storage space. We saw that in real time in Jacksonville at the Dollar General the other day, where it's the intersection of a lot of the conversation I want to have about the messaging and the right-wing machinery that's pushing out all the stuff that's really frenzying these people to commit these acts of violence. But like this whole idea that in the state of Florida, that man, I don't even want to call him a man, monster, was able to get his hands on a Glock and an AR-15 despite having a background of hate-inspired violence in his background. He was able to get those guns, and then he was able to go out with a manifesto and murder 3 Black Americans and then himself. And it's like, I didn't even see, I don't think, other than DeSantis, I didn't see one Republican talking about that shooting, because why would they, right? Like it doesn't help them with their narrative. And like you said, I thought Sandy Hook was going to change things. And then I foolishly thought that Parkland was going to change things. And it did for a half a second in Florida. Then I thought for sure Uvalde is going to change things. And I've talked to the father of one of those victims, and, they're so fucking angry. And it's like, and Republicans now aren't even feigning anything beyond thoughts and prayers. Like you said, they're so beholden to the NRA now that they don't even care to pretend like they care. But it's gun violence. And the other thing, they, like you said in your post, they want us to accept this as our reality. So much so that they want to arm teachers. They want to give kids training in tourniqueting other kids so that they can help them not die in a mass shooting. They're building $1 billion lockdown industry around a reality they're forcing us to accept. And we don't have to accept it. And popular opinion actually says more Americans are for whatever you want to call it, gun safety, gun measures, gun control, reasonable gun legislation, than are against it. and they're not listening, they don't care, and they're not getting the message through. So really, what is the end? What are we going to do? We have to vote, right? Like that's what we have to do. We have no
Mm-hmm.
choice. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
change.
Well, it's the only power that we've got, the power to vote and the power to demonstrate and the power of assembly and free speech. Um, because that can change things. There are sort of there is always that faction that likes to laugh at people who march like they're not doing anything. Over time, that's proven to not be true. Um, but because it does have an impact. But our number one power is to vote. Um, and also, Joe, when it comes to guns, there is a part of me that has hope that we will have a cultural shift because I think it is also partly cultural. Like there is a gun culture. And laws, yes, are very helpful, but I don't know. I wish or hope, and it's probably futile, but I have a wish and a hope for a cultural shift that a new generation will come in and kind of look at guns with a side eye, like, really? Like,
Mm.
this is your thing? Because right now we've got a gun culture that holds the gun like it is like a like a crucifix, like that is it is their identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. And culturally, while I'm on that soapbox, to no one seems to want to talk about how guns as an enthusiasm. Let's just say that you enjoy guns and you like going to the range and you lock them up properly. They're all licensed. I don't understand the fetish for them because being, as I was speaking about earlier, being in a category all by themselves, a completely unique product category, they are designed to destroy.
Mm.
It's not a constructive, creative tool or toy or fascination or enthusiasm. It's not constructive. It's not creative. It is destructive. I don't understand the enthusiasm for that. You know, um, when I was a little kid, I used to like to blow things up with firecrackers, I guess, and destroy Lincoln log houses that I built or whatever. But I was a kid and I grew up.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I understand that that's kind of silly now. I don't have an interest in it because I'm an adult. But this enthusiasm for this handheld device that is designed specifically to kill. Someone has to psychologically explain to me why someone gets excited about a handheld device that is specifically created to kill. Why is that exciting to you? Get to the core psychology of this. Why does this make you horny?
I think it
Why
makes
does this turn you on? Why does this make you feel like a man? Does it
right,
make you feel powerful? Because you are otherwise impotent?
right.
That's not for me to say. But there is a reason people get really turned on culturally by these things that are designed to kill. And that is, if they want to blame mental illness, I think the mental illness is right there because there's something wrong with that. We as human beings whose job is to sort of create, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not destroy. I don't know. I just culturally, I don't understand the enthusiasm. Get into cars, get into watches, some other masculine sort of thing. I mean, it's metal, it's machinery. I kind of like whatever.
Right.
Um, but I think vintage cars. There are other enthusiasms to work that outlet. I don't know.
Yeah, even archery. If you really want to like shoot shit, like try that. But like the thing is, that it exists for them already because I think it's born of in a lot of insecurity and also that messaging that men and women in this country have been fed about what is masculine, and that's a whole other conversation for
Mhm.
a whole other day because of this like hyper
Or
masculine.
what is American?
Right. Right. That makes you American. It's a
Mm-hmm.
God-given right. God came down himself and he
Mm-hmm.
divine that you should have shit that can kill people. Even if you're real dumb and you can't read, you can have a gun and that puts you on the same level as everybody else. And it's like I think that's part of it. I think even the people who aren't, stupid, the traditional MAGA that I paint with a one tooth and stuff, it still gives inferior people some idea of superiority. But like they're also
Mm-hmm.
being fed this constant diet, and this is another conversation of sort of a tangential conversation, because they're being fed this diet of, you need to hold on to your guns, they're coming for your guns, they want to
Mm-hmm.
take your guns. And then there's this whole other thing where they're also priming these very same people who think that they, whoever is coming for their guns, that they're othering marginalized groups, like particularly the LGBTQ plus community at the moment. We saw this come to a head in California, where Laura Carlton was shot in the head because of her pride flag. And it's all these prongs of them being fed this steady diet of hate and fear, and they, them, those people, they are coming for your insert whatever you want, fill in the blank, your livelihood, your wife, your job, your America. So they tell him
Grievances.
so much and they hand him so many guns that when somebody sees a pride flag and rips it down, the next step for him, when that store owner says no, is a shooter in the head.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we are now, but this is by design, right? This
Right.
isn't a coincidence.
We have a lot of cultural problems. This is one of them. You know, these are feelings of mine. They're not facts, and I'm well aware of that. But it feels like we have a lot of people who are still really mad that there was a black family eating off the china in the White House, and feel that how their lives have we've got this victim mentality, how their lives have turned out or not turned out is someone else's fault, and they need a boogeyman, they need an enemy. Donald Trump has helped identify one for them, or several enemies, whatever. And whether it's black people, Hispanic people, gay people, lesbians, trans people, give me a break. Um, they need a target, a punching bag or a shooting target, something or someone or a group or a boogeyman or a monster at whom to direct all of this grievance, this rage, this anger, because the world is changing, society is changing, and it scares people, you know? And there were a lot of things coming down at once. We had a pandemic that fucked with a lot of people, no matter what color or identity you are. Um, and people coming out of it were freaked out. We saw all these videos on social media. I joked, my running joke for a while was, aggrieved and furious white people popping off and snapping in public or something like that. Whether it was at a Walmart, a Starbucks, on an airplane, like just people losing it, like just snapping, losing it because pandemic, money, this changing society, these, black people, women, gay people getting traction and getting their own money and getting power. And there is a sort of a power structure that just cannot stand that. It drives them crazy
Mhm.
that a white straight dude can't just walk in and just sort of be given something because he just showed up. It's like, no, dude, you might have to actually work for something a little bit. I love it when Don Jr. complains about like the unfairness of things. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. For a rich kid with zero skills,
Right.
it really is like the kids from Succession. Like, you've got no talent for anything.
Mhm.
You deserve nothing. But people um, are mad because the ground beneath them is shifting and it's freaking people out. Um, as far as white people being the dominant sort of culture here, it's a part of this I feel like is a death rattle.
Mhm.
Don Lemon has talked about this. Like, it's a death rattle. That makes that sort of rhymes with my sensibility about this. Um, yeah, I've got this. I did videos about this for a while online too. I've done so many videos, I've forgotten what I've done specifically, but I remember one was the tagline for the Republican Party. What should be, might as well just be, um, America's changing and we fucking hate it. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
What is your party? America's changing and we fucking hate it. That's it.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And
Perfect.
act accordingly
Yeah.
and violently if necessary. Like, America's changing and we fucking hate it. That's their motto.
Yeah.
And America is changing. You know, I never thought in my lifetime I'd be allowed to get married and have kids. Not that I want to, but it's nice to have the option.
Yeah.
And I'm glad my friends can do it. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Hmm.
I never thought I'd see an openly gay person in a president's administration. No way.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And there are a lot of people in this country, in the world, but in this country who fucking hate that. They fucking hate it. They hate, again, that there was a black family eating off the china in the White House. They hate that there might be a black woman in the room who is smarter and more eloquent than them. That's going to drive people crazy.
Hmm.
You know, that Obama, that Barack and Michelle, not just black, but articulate and
Hmm.
smart, and it
Hmm.
drove them bananas. How dare he use words I don't know? Like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it drives them crazy.
It's like it dredged up all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff that they were like
Yeah.
afraid to say out loud before. So it was sort of like Donald Trump came along and just this perfect sort of collision
Mm-hmm.
of an evolving society, an evolving electorate that is, by the way, what happens. That's what's been
He kind
happening
of
since the earth has been around.
he identified a boogeyman for them
Right.
and said, "These people are they skipped your place in line. Go get them."
Yeah, but they're not only do they skip it, they're coming for it. They're coming
Mm-hmm.
to take it from
Right.
you. They're
Ha
coming to
ha.
take right. They're
Ha
coming.
ha.
They're coming to take me away.
Ha
But like
ha.
that's the really powerful activation part of it. It's like that birthright that these people have just sort of taken for granted that their whiteness was enough to buy them access, to buy them power. They
Mm-hmm.
could be
Mm-hmm.
terrible people, they could be
Mm-hmm.
failures, they could have no education, but that whiteness thing that they had was their ticket access
It
to
was the
everything.
safety net.
Yeah, and
It
that
was the safety net.
somehow the evolution of the universe is such that that's going to go away. It, I know people who responded to that with going so far extreme that they were like, my kids' colleges are indoctrinating them with woke ideology, and there's all of this both sides and extra special treatment for and I think you're right about the Obamas. I really do think that that's a large part of it. That was very very triggering for a lot of people who were like, hold on,
Still is. Still is.
where's my spot? Yeah, exactly. Still is,
Mm-hmm.
and it always will be. And the boogeyman thing is incredibly effective in terms of frenzying up and rallying up the base who loves a target to hate because it makes them feel better about themselves.
And there is a lot of talk in our culture, and I'm on board with a lot of it to a point. My friend Scott Galloway talks about this a lot, where our young men are in crisis, and I believe they
Mhm.
are, you know, and they're falling behind academically. Young guys are like, they don't know how to get game, they don't know how to talk to girls at parties, they don't know how to get invited to parties. Um, you know, that's a problem. And Scott, you know, flippantly, but it's true. Like, you know, young people aren't getting laid.
Mhm.
Um, However, you know, that said, I think there's also that little caveat where guys used to maybe not have to work so hard. What society is telling them now, with women coming up and having expectations of their own, guys, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to work on your jokes. You know, you got to come to a party or a dinner thing with some good one-liners in your pocket. You got to have a good, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You got to have a good story. When like these shootings, 8, 9 times out of 10, you don't have to tell me who did it. It's a kid who lived at home in his parents' basement, hasn't gotten laid in a year or maybe ever, and isn't working, and, you know, it's all somebody else's fault. And I want to say, yes, guys, I know it's tricky, but you're going to have, but guys are not total victims. We're going to have to work a little bit. I say we because I'm a guy too. I'm white. I'm male. I got 2 out of 3. I didn't hit the full lottery. I'm not heterosexual, which means I only walk the earth at DEFCON 4 on a good day, usually DEFCON 3. Seriously, in terms of
Yeah.
natural predators.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to work on your game and you got to be well read and you got to be able to have a conversation. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody, but get the fuck out of the basement. And we got to work a little bit harder. None of this is yours. None of this, you don't get to get into this college or get access to that girl or whatever you want, whatever you have in your sights.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work for it. Women have had to do this their entire lives for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Black people, like, come on. Don't you love Ron DeSantis's latest that like slavery was good for black people? You fucking asshole. Oh my God. The
Upside to
dumbest.
slavery. Yeah. Yeah. We've officially
The
jumped the shark. I taught
dumbest.
them
The
skills.
dumbest.
Yeah.
So now that we've got other people like kind of getting access to the same buffet table that straight white dudes have been enjoying, unfettered access to forever, and now some other people are kind of muscling in, they don't like it.
Mm-mm.
And tough shit is all I gotta say. Change your game, sharpen up your skills. Chat GPT is coming. You better learn how to write better. Be better. Sorry,
Yeah,
not
but
sorry.
it's but like that, because Republicans understand that that's the base that they're losing, and that's their grip on power that is slipping through their fingers. They're building systems to kind of enhance and encourage this lack of accountability for guys like that. It's like, no, instead, we're worried that accurate Black history will make you feel bad about yourself, and then you'll feel guilty
Oh, we
because
can't
bad
have
things.
anybody feeling bad. No.
No. So what we have to do is we just have to like erase it from, you even
Mm-hmm.
being aware of it. So God forbid you ever repeat it. Like, we don't know why that happened because like we didn't want you to feel bad. So putting systems in place to basically like as a tool to keep the suppression going.
Here's the message to straight white dudes. You're not amazing. I don't give a shit what your mother told you, what your kindergarten teachers, what stickers you got on your homework for getting a 70. You're not amazing. All right? And that's like enough with telling kids that they're amazing. And then they get into society as adults and they realize, holy shit, high school hero, college, and lifetime zero. You're not amazing.
Mm.
Bummer.
Mm-hmm.
There are some like foreign kids coming from other countries and cultures and backgrounds and cuisines who are doing better than you in school because you're not amazing. They
Mm-hmm.
are. You're not exceptional. I have people in my life who try to drill into their kids. You're amazing. You're gorgeous and you're amazing. Stop it.
Yeah.
Encourage kids. Absolutely. Kids need encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And they need tools. They need the tools for success.
Mm-hmm.
But straight white dudes have been told their entire lives since time immemorial that they're amazing. They're the best.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're learning now and what we're seeing now is that, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we might like the woman to run the company more. Maybe we would like to have an African American as president. And that seemed to actually go pretty well.
Yeah.
And yeah,
They
yeah.
they
You're
can't
not
handle it.
amazing. Yeah, you can't
They can't
handle it.
handle it. And it's interesting because to your point about, young men being sort of in trouble, but there are statistics now that show young men 14 to 18, 14 to 19 are increasingly sort of becoming conservative, right? Like whatever conservative
Mm-hmm.
is anymore. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had to think about this a lot because the girls are going the opposite direction. What I've landed on as a mom in the suburbs whose son is coached by dudes who are really reckoning with this, like, hold on, I'm exceptional. Remember, I'm a cis white dude. I'm exceptional. I was born, it was on my birth certificate. It said I was exceptional. Now I'm coaching a baseball team with all this grievance that I'm carrying around about how my birthright made me exceptional and I don't want to have to go out there and prove it by doing anything to earn it. They're now spreading that to the young men, young boys that they're coaching and in that position. Because I was trying to figure out, like, it's not just that, but it's teachers too, but it's anybody in a position of authority with this particular age group of young boys and boys. And I think it really is layers of that, but it's these dudes that you were talking about who are like, wait a minute, I'm exceptional. I didn't have to do anything to be exceptional. I was born exceptional because that's the message I've always gotten. And now you're trying to tell me I'm not? Well, fuck that. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to tell these dudes who are impressionable because I'll sit their ass on the bench if they don't believe this stuff that they're not men.
It doesn't surprise me to hear that there is a spike in young men who identify as conservatives, that they found their tribe. And this is
Mm.
they've found a common bond with others who see a different other as the enemy. Instead of saying, dude, it's not them, it's you. It's not the black people. It's not the immigrants. It's not the gays. It's not the trans people. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whoever said it was your job? If I'm running a company, I want the best person for it. And maybe you're not it. Get a better skill set. Do you know how many times, Joe, I've changed careers? I tried to be an actor. Nobody wanted anything to do with me. So I was a waiter and I was a bartender, and then I was a restaurant manager, and then I learned a new skill. I learned how to make websites, and then the technology around that changed. And if I was going to stay in that game, I had to keep up, I had to keep learning new skills to stay afloat and pay the rent. It was really inconvenient, but I had to keep learning shit. Nobody handed it to me. So when someone says I can't learn new tricks, I'm like, you are that lazy.
1,000%.
Lazy. This is my job. And like when someone's working in coal, like it's going away, man. But there are other skill sets that are available to you to learn. Let's go. Let's pick up a book. Let's take something. I know I'm simplifying it, and that's not
No.
necessarily fair. And you're asking, and we're asking people to, this all goes back to what we've been talking about the whole time. I think it's a shift in what people have known their whole lives, and what they've known and understood and what they thought to be true and to belong to them is not necessarily maybe true and doesn't necessarily belong to them. And they're freaked out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, it sucks. And I'm learning new skills now. I'm in a bit of a transition period as I sit here and talk to you. Like I'm trying to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening, it's daunting. Um, I thought things would be different at this time in my life, but at the same time, I know that if I just chill, breathe, maybe take a nap, and then take the next right action, next right constructive action toward something better, I have a better shot, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy and quite lazy to get mad at other people. It's lazy. Um, and these people in our society with these grievances that are angry at others because their lives didn't turn out the way they thought it should and things aren't the way they want them to be. Guys, it's not them, it's you.
Exactly right. And no one is out there just waiting for you to pop up and hand you anything. I didn't expect myself to be a 49-year-old mother of two who's divorced and supporting the kids on my own. I never expected I would have to do that at this point in my life, but no one was
And
coming to save me.
you got a house, right?
Yeah, and I'm paying for it
Remember?
by myself. Yeah. Yeah. And
We talked about this, and I was
yeah.
like, you take the next right action. It's easier said than done, and it seems like you're just like it's like that movie, The Ring, and you're in the well, and like the lid is being closed, and there's that little crescent of light that gets smaller, and it's like, no, I'm never going to see light again.
Yeah.
You hang in there, you take the next right action, you know what to do, you're a smart person, and look at you now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, and I don't want to simplify it and pretend that everybody's got access to the same tools because they don't,
No, they don't. Right.
And there are some people. I've been very fortunate in my life. Um, I have advantages that a lot of people never will.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that it's fair,
Right,
and
but
then
you
a
don't
lot
feel
of
entitled. That's the thing, that's
no,
the difference. That's
no,
the main
I don't.
difference is that, right. And so that's that mindset that you were talking about, that I was talking about, in terms of no longer feeling entitled. And because it's not, none of the shit's guaranteed for any of them. And that's why we have so much conflict right now. That's why it's gurgling up so badly right now. And this has happened throughout our history. It's happened throughout
Right,
world history. We're going to have to weather this storm. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be bloody. I talked to Alejandra Caraballo, who's this amazing trans woman, and she's like, hope is a daily practice, but
hmm
this is dark. It's always darkest before the dawn. And this is where we're at right now. And I do believe what's on the other side of this is going to be a culture shift. I really do believe that.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
also, it's called the American Dream, not the American Promise,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come true for everybody.
Right.
And that's just how it's designed. Also, it sucks to hear it, sucks to say it. Also, I don't expect to be handed anything. Like the
Mm-hmm.
acting career bit, for example, like I never wanted to be handed a role. I wanted to be offered an opportunity to audition. Do you know what I mean? It's a different thing. I don't give it to me. Sure, it's nice to have an offer. It's not, but no, uh, just a shot, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm talking about. Like the chance to compete, and it's really like may the best man, best woman, best person, best they them win. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be handed anything at all. That's gross.
Me either. And I think there's more satisfaction in really, honestly, achieving it on your own without, expecting anything. That's satisfying to me. That's something you built with your own hands. So, um,
Nothing worthwhile is easy.
that's what my dad always used to say, and I try and think about it all the time. He always used to say the hardest things are usually the most worth doing, and I really do believe that. Like I really do believe that the easiest things are usually the sort of cheats way out, or not necessarily the right path. But I love, yeah.
there, there, there was there was this national chain of gyms like in the 80s. And in different regions in the country, they had different names. I mean, Cher was the
Oh,
spokesmodel
I
for them.
remember that.
And she was when she had the short butch haircut with the blonde top. And she opened up, she goes, let's face it, if it came in a bottle, everyone would have if a good body came in a bottle, everyone would have one. Like that that was the gist. And that's the same point.
Yes.
It's stupid, but it's
Oh,
true. Like if it were
that.
that easy, everyone would be able to like whatever. So
Yeah.
you gotta the moral of the story is, we gotta work for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And stop
Yeah.
feeling so friggin' aggrieved about everything. Just fucking shut up.
No, so you gotta change your skill set. I've done it at least 10 times. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not kidding. Yeah.
the world's changing. Get over it.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right. Well, on that note, I'm going to pivot to my last section of this interview, because I always do this. I end every interview with three random questions. I have four for you, but I don't know which one of the second ones I want
Fire
to.
away.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I call the. I need a jingle for this. I'm not there yet. Rapid fire random question round. Are you ready, George Hahn?
I'm ready.
I was born ready. Okay. In a Freaky Friday situation where you woke up in someone else's body, who would you like to be for the day and have them inhabit your body for the day?
Ooh, that's really good. Um, Jennifer Aniston.
Okay, good one. Yeah,
Because I
I
know
like
my dogs would be well looked after and hers would be too, right? I
love that.
know she loves New York, and
Yeah.
I've never been to her house, but I'm sure I'd like it.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a day, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has to be
And
amazing.
as long as we knew that we were like, be like texting, like, dude, I'm you. I'm you.
She'd be like,
Yeah.
I
So
am
I,
so hung. And
right?
I'd be like, oh, I
My
didn't.
dick is so big.
I love
She
it.
might be overwhelmed. No. God.
I can't stop touching it, George. I don't want to leave your body. My,
Wow, this went in a weird direction.
I
Nice.
escalated quickly. That's how I rolled. But mine would be Tom Brady. I just want to see like how much pussy does he get? It's got to be a lot, right?
Mm.
Like you just walk around and women are just like,
He's just like, yeah, he's drowning in puss.
and then I want
Yeah.
him to have to be in my body to go to my son's sports things and be like, the coach is just like dismissing everything he says. And he's like, I'm fucking Tom Brady. But they can't, he doesn't,
Yeah.
right? I just want that for Tom and for me.
That's a good one. I
Okay.
like it.
Question two, this is the one I was debating about, but I think I'm gonna go with okay. Would you rather explore the depths of the ocean or outer space?
The ocean.
Me too.
I think that it's yes, I love the idea of space exploration. I think it's super cool. And the fact that we're, going back to the moon is exciting. However, I took an oceanography class in college, which I failed. I had to take it again because I just never went to class. But it did trigger in me an interest in the ocean. There are still parts of the ocean that have yet to be explored, depths. And it's amazing down there. It is amazing. There are species of fish that we haven't identified yet, or creatures, whatever you want to call them. The ocean is amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Endlessly fascinating. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think we have to just make sure that we don't go down in certain submersibles because that would be a bad idea.
Well, I think we could work on the technology.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, you could not have a manned submersible down
Right.
at the Titanic. When
Mm-hmm.
Robert Ballard discovered it and his team discovered it, and I think it was 85, um, it was not a manned submersible because you couldn't. The technology wasn't there. And the technology will get better.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't have imploding submersibles.
Right. They'll
Right.
be able to do it.
All right, this is the last question, and it's kind of going back to your video rants, which is how I ever became aware of you in the first place. Because during COVID, and we're all sitting at home, and I'm like, who is this amazing person who's got these amazing rants? You would just talk to the camera, and you would just do that really at the camera moment, and it was amazing. It was so cathartic. But on that note, if you haven't seen them, you need to find them. Seek them out because they are amazing and they really matched the tone of the time and they still resonate today. And you still do some of them today, but not as often, but they're still very powerful and
Correct.
they really resonate. And it makes you feel like we all get it off our chest with you. But what is, if you had to pick one, your biggest single pet peeve of all? I think I
Of
know what you're going to say.
all.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If I had to pick one,
I know. My list is long too, but just one,
God.
like one
What
thing.
do you think it is? I'm just curious.
I think it is people who have speakerphone.
Oh my
Um,
God. I was just going to say it.
yeah, I got it.
It's just, it's that. Okay. I think the people doing speakerphone in public is my biggest pet peeve because it's symptomatic of a bigger problem.
Mm.
It's not, it's really merely a symptom of a problem that has to do with people's total lack of consideration for other people. Shut the fuck up. And people think everybody wants to, or you're just, there's either you think other people want to hear it, or you're just not considering the fact that other people hear it. And you have this total lack of awareness. Whatever it is, it's awful. And the whole, like, Dave Hill, my friend Dave Hill said it perfectly. Like, people holding carry their smartphone like it's a Pop Tart and talk into it. It's not a walkie talkie. It's a fucking phone. And it doesn't require any more physical effort to hold it up to your ear and keep the other person's side of the conversation out of our lives. Shut the fuck up. People are horrible. People are horrible. John Paul Sartre was right. Hell is other people. But people's lack of consideration for others that manifests in speakerphone in public because that is peak asshole. Yeah.
It really is. The only way you could peak asshole is if you were to get four of those assholes, line them up side by side, and make them walk very slowly down a New York City sidewalk.
Sure.
That would be the only way, because
Yeah.
that's mine. Those people
And
who walk alongside each other and they don't have any care that you're behind them and you need to go somewhere. They don't care.
it's like,
They
kids,
block you.
this isn't Sex in the City. Fucking, you're not Samantha. Well, no one is. She's not even in the picture anymore. But like,
Right.
did you see that? Do you watch that show, by the way, the
No, I
reboot?
don't. I saw the first one and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's like clothing porn. They are having fun with the clothes, and it's still a great Valentine to New York City.
Yeah.
It is a very sort of great love letter to New York living. However, um, yeah, I thought the original series was more fun, maybe because I was on it, but like,
That's right.
um,
You were on
but
it.
I was on it.
Yeah.
But the Sex and the City formation down the sidewalk is again people don't consider others. That's another symptom of the same problem.
Yes, exactly. And it's all part and
Mhm.
parcel to everything we were just talking about in terms of what the fuck is wrong with people. Are you fucking kidding me?
Selfishness. It's a real
Right?
lack of empathy, um, and a selfishness. It's a problem. My mother said to, and I'm very fortunate as we talked about the advantages that we've had, and I know that you're like this with your kids because you're a good mom. And my parents gave us values. My mother said to me years ago, she said, George, when you guys were kids, and I was having some like questions about parenthood, and someone said to her, Linda, the only thing you can do for your kids is two things. Number one, love them, and number two, give them a sense of values. And that's where the fuck up is.
Yeah.
And love your kids and give them a sense of values. Because what I see now in our politics and our public discourse are people who don't really have a good sense of values. Because there's a missing there's a lack of empathy for other people, and we've got narcissists as role models. And I'm talking about like Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Like these are horrible role models for people, and
Mhm.
yet people regard them as their own personal Jesus, and that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think ultimately that we have to remind ourselves that there are still fundamental rights and wrongs in this universe. And that's where that, the value system comes from. And I think that that's important for us to remind ourselves all the time about and to get back to and to
Yeah.
slap the ones who don't want to be there out of the way, make them go back
And
in.
a shout out to the ones who do it. We've spent
Yeah.
all this time talking about the negative, but there are some great people out there, and let's stick to them.
Yeah.
Let's look
Absolutely.
to them and the ones who teach us how to laugh because that's medicine,
It is medicine, is the best medicine.
isn't
And the
it?
leaders, there's the Dan Goldmans out there and all, et cetera, people who are fighting the good fight. And then we appreciate them
Yes,
too.
we
Yeah.
got
And
some
that
good.
is
There's some good ones out there, really good ones.
definitely, yeah. And I think we should have the daily practice of hope. I definitely think we should employ that because I think we have a lot to look forward to. I'm an
Hmm.
optimist, but well, I think with that, just tell me, what are you working on? Where do you want people to go? What's anything new you want to kind of talk about real fast for people to check out?
Well, I think by the time this goes live, I will be hopefully. Um, I've been over the past couple of weeks. I just kind of chilled this summer, and it's been about like, all right, I need to get organized because no one. I've been like waiting for someone to come and pick me up and take me to the big show and invite me to their table with this whole sort of moment I'm having in social media, and it's not happened. And
Mhm.
no one's coming. So I need to organize my shit and like really, my Patreon is a big concern. So I'm taking too long. Um, More scheduled, regular. Like every Monday is going to be a menswear post. Every Wednesday, I'm going to have a Han Solo episode, which is my one man podcast for my Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/George Hahn. And on Fridays, I'm going to have a newsletter that's like, this is a little with a little essay in it and other things of interest for my growing subscriber list. So it's just about getting more organized and more productive and treating my various platforms like a real job instead of like, oh, maybe I'll just do a live video right now. Like, no, George, you're going to do your morning walk at 10 a.m., which is what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be at a set time, and there's going to be more of a discipline to it because up to now, it's all been a grand experiment. So, georgehahn.com, my website is the mothership. I'm on threads at George Hahn. I'm on Instagram at George Hahn. I'm on TikTok at George Hahn NYC. And yeah, that's where it's all at.
You are an incredibly talented person on so many levels. And honestly, I wouldn't even begin to be able to describe them because you're smart and funny and thoughtful and you're an excellent writer. And, you're also, you can act. I mean, the whole
Well,
rant thing isn't just something you just pull out of your ass. It's something you
no.
have to actually
have a natural skill for, but you're just layers, and you're a 9-layer dip of amazing. You're a talented, incredible person. The world is better for your energy, for you being here and for sharing yourself with us. And I just think, I know that good things have been happening for you, and I think that the sky's the limit for the good things that'll continue to happen for you. I'm just really lucky to know you. I get a little fangirly sometimes. And so I think everyone should follow you everywhere and check out everything you're doing, and by 100% go to his Patreon and do that, please, because it's hard. It's not like this. George is out there carving his way and doing it by himself.
What I've done, the big page to go to is georgehahn.com/support, because some people, Patreon is like a subscriber thing, and some people, instead of roping them into a monthly subscription, if they want to do a one-time thing and drop something in a tip jar, there's that option there too. So if you go to georgehahn.com/support, I am experimenting for any other creators out there with what I call the Guardian/public radio model, which is all this stuff is free, but if it's valuable to you, help us keep the lights on if you can. And it works for them, and I'm going to try it on this end.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Yeah. I think everybody should support you everywhere. So,
Thank you.
Well, on that note, that does it for this episode of Are You Effing Kidding Me with Jojo from Jerz.
So good.
I had an incredible time talking to George today. This episode will drop, I have 2 Saturdays from now, which won't really matter to anybody, but it'll drop on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and, Spotify and all the other places you can find your podcast. And on that note, thank you, George. And
thank you, Joe.
Have a great week, everybody. See you next Saturday.
Look, I think we can all agree, if we can't agree on much else, that these are pretty crazy times, and navigating all of that every day can be pretty stressful. In my case, I had 2 middle schoolers, and there are just some days where I'm dragging myself across the finish line. And then there are the nights when a glass of wine or 2 fits the de-stress bill. But let's be honest, I'm a busy mom. I can't be waking up feeling like crap, whether that's that second glass of wine I had or eating my daughter's leftover chicken fingers because I didn't want them to go to waste. Either way, enter ZBiotics. Here's how you use it. Step 1, have a ZBiotics. For best results, make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. Step 3, enjoy tomorrow, wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic, your first drink of the night for a better tomorrow. Engineered by a team of PhD microbiologists, ZBiotics is a probiotic drink that breaks down the byproduct of alcohol, which is what's responsible for those rough mornings after drinking. So go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Political Voices at checkout. Again, go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.